In the year 4829, Earth was not the world it used to be. War, disease, and poverty were words found only in digital archives. Floating cities hovered above the clouds, powered by clean energy and advanced systems that never failed. There were no armies, no police, no crime. Everyone had what they needed, and more than they could ever use. People spent their time learning, relaxing, or being entertained. Artificial intelligence handled almost everything: farming, medicine, transportation, even decision-making. Earth was part of the Galactic Union, a group of 93 peaceful planets. Together they had kept peace for over 2,000 years. So long, in fact, that most people didn't even understand what war really was. Jackson Morrow was not like most people. He lived in Solara, one of the oldest sky cities on Earth. His apartment was quiet and filled with old books, real paper ones, which most people saw as strange. Jackson was a memory archivist. His job was to study and preserve Earth's ancient history. While others used their minds to design art or explore virtual worlds, Jackson spent his time reading about battles, invasions, and old fears. He didn't glorify war. He didn't want it back, but he felt uneasy, knowing that people had forgotten how dangerous the universe could be. That morning, Jackson sat in the Grand Archive, a large white dome filled with glowing shelves of knowledge. A quiet AI assistant floated nearby, scanning and sorting data. Jackson read about the solar wars, when Earth nearly destroyed itself thousands of years ago. As he read, he looked around. Most of the other archivists were playing strategy games or watching history dramas for fun. Nobody took the past seriously. Jackson sighed. "We've turned pain into entertainment," he whispered. He stepped outside the archive and walked along the floating garden path. Below him, clouds moved slowly. The sky was clear, peaceful, but something deep in his gut told him this peace couldn't last forever. Later that evening, as Solara's city lights gently glowed and the stars began to shine, something strange happened. A bright red light appeared in the sky. It wasn't a drone or satellite. It was large, too large and silent. The light grew bigger, then others joined it. Within minutes the lights formed a pattern, a fleet. Massive ships shaped like claws floated just beyond Earth's atmosphere. People looked up from their dinners, their games, their conversations. At first they laughed. "What a show," someone said. "Is this a new film promotion?" But Jackson didn't laugh. He stepped onto his balcony and watched closely. His pulse was steady, but his eyes were alert. He recognized the design. The ships were not from the Union. They were alien and old. Then, without warning, every screen in the city blinked. Phones, walls, windows, anything with a screen, flickered and displayed the same message. A face appeared. Reptilian, armored and proud, eyes sharp like blades. A voice followed, deep and powerful. "I am Commander Zarnak of the Kraylan Empire. Earth, you have grown soft under your false peace. We offer you a gift, conflict. We declare war." For a moment the city was silent, then laughter erupted. People clapped and cheered, thinking it was a performance. Children danced. Drones flew into the sky to record what they thought was part of an elaborate game. But Jackson didn't move. He stared at the screen long after it went dark. "This isn't a game," he said quietly. "This is real." He turned and rushed back into his apartment. Books flew open, screens lit up with data. He began searching everything he knew about the Kraylan Empire. Outside, the world was still laughing. Inside, Jackson knew the 2,000-year peace had just ended. The next morning, Earth looked the same. The sun rose across the sky cities. Clean wind moved through the floating gardens. Music played from cafe windows. But high above, the alien fleet still hovered like a shadow that didn't move. Most people didn't care. They called the arrival of the Kraylan ships a Peace Week event. Some thought it was a clever stunt by the Galactic Union to remind people about history. Social feeds were flooded with jokes, images of the alien commander wearing silly hats, and hashtags like #War is back and #Zarnak challenge. Jackson Morrow was not laughing. He hadn't slept much. He had stayed up studying every old record he could find about the Kraylan Empire. They were once feared across 3 galaxies, an ancient race of warriors who believed honor was earned only through battle. Their empire had fallen apart centuries ago, but now, somehow, they were here, and they wanted Earth. He walked quickly through the archive halls, passing holographic fountains and cheerful AI guides. Most archivists smiled and waved, still treating yesterday's broadcast like a harmless joke. "Jackson, did you see the Zarnak remix video?" a colleague asked, laughing. Someone added his speech to a dance beat. Jackson didn't answer. He entered the main chamber, activated a secure channel, and sent a request to the Global Peace Council. They had to know this was serious. Back outside, the Kraylan ships began to move. Slowly, one of them broke formation and drifted down toward Earth. Its dark shape grew larger until it cast a shadow over a floating city called Luma Prime. Then, for the first time in 2,000 years, something exploded on Earth. It was small, just a communications tower. No one was hurt. The AI systems had predicted the attack and evacuated the area in seconds, but still, it was real. Now people paused. The laughter faded a little. Jackson watched the live feed from the archive tower. The alien ship hovered in silence. Its weapons were now clearly visible, sharp, ancient, and full of purpose. Zarnak had made his point. Later that day, the Peace Council met in emergency session. Messages came from every part of Earth and the Galactic Union. Most were confused. Some were frightened, but many still didn't believe it. After 2,000 years of peace, war was hard to imagine. Jackson was called to speak. His role as a memory archivist suddenly mattered. Inside the bright white chamber of the council dome, Jackson stood before the group of elected thinkers, diplomats, and AI representatives. They looked calm, but their eyes showed concern. "We have to take this seriously," Jackson said. "This is not a test. Zarnak is a warlord from a forgotten time. He believes Earth is weak. He wants to prove his strength by defeating us." A council member raised a hand. "But we're not weak. We've advanced far beyond violence. Our defense systems can handle this. Why should we worry?" "Because he doesn't understand that," Jackson replied. "He comes from a world where power is shown by destruction. He thinks we're laughing at him because we're afraid." "Then what should we do?" Jackson took a breath. "Let me speak to him. Not as a soldier. We don't have those. Not as a leader. I'm not one. Let me speak to him as a historian. If we can show him what Earth truly is now, maybe we can stop this before it becomes something worse." The room went quiet. After a moment, the council agreed. A message was sent to the Kraylan flagship. Earth would not fight, but one human was ready to speak. Commander Zarnak accepted. As the sun set again, the alien ships remained above Earth like mountains in the sky. People stopped making jokes. Something was changing in the air. A feeling long forgotten. Not fear, but awareness. And in his quiet room, Jackson packed a small bag. He would leave at dawn to meet the alien commander face to face. The sky was dark when Jackson Morrow left Solara. His transport ship rose from the docking bay and moved upward through the clouds. Behind him, Earth glowed calm and silent, as if unaware that something dangerous hovered above it. The Kraylan flagship, Ravager, waited high in orbit. It looked ancient, armored with thick metal plates and sharp edges. Unlike Earth's sleek, glowing designs, the Ravager looked like it was built for one purpose: war. Inside the ship, Jackson sat quietly. He had only brought a translator patch, a memory tablet, and a few notes from the archives. No weapons, no armor. He didn't need them. If the Kraylan commander wanted to destroy him, he could do it in a moment. But Jackson believed something else was going to happen. As the ship approached the Kraylan vessel, a deep voice echoed through the system. "Identify yourself." The AI pilot answered, "Envoy Jackson Morrow, civilian, by request of Commander Zarnak." A moment passed, then a reply, "Docking approved. Welcome to the Ravager, human." The Kraylan ship opened like a giant mouth. The Earth transport moved inside, surrounded by darkness and a low hum of ancient engines. As the ship settled, the door opened, and Jackson stepped out. The air was heavy, warmer than Earth's. The floor was metal, old and scratched. Soldiers stood in rows, tall and armored, their reptilian eyes locked on him. No one moved, no one spoke. Then from the far end of the hall, Commander Zarnak appeared. He was over 7 feet tall, covered in deep red armor. His skin was rough and scaled, his face sharp and fierce. He looked like a creature from Earth's oldest myths, but his eyes were not wild. They were cold and calculating. "You came alone," Zarnak said. "Yes," Jackson replied. "No fear, only questions." Zarnak studied him for a moment, then motioned him forward. "Walk with me." They moved down a long corridor filled with old war relics, blasters, banners, broken armor. Jackson recognized some from the archives. He had only seen them in pictures, now they were real. "You know our history," Zarnak said. "I study it, all of it. Then you understand why we are here." Jackson nodded. "Your empire fell. You lost territory. You lost respect. You came here to take something that proves you're still powerful." Zarnak stopped. "We came to test your world. You hide behind technology. You have forgotten what it means to fight." "No," Jackson said calmly. "We remember. We just choose not to live that way anymore." Zarnak growled softly. "Peace has made you soft. Peace has made us smart." Jackson replied. "We've built a world where no one needs to kill or suffer. Isn't that strength?" Zarnak didn't answer. He led Jackson into a large room with a round table. Lights flickered above. Screens showed Earth's cities, defense systems, even the faces of laughing humans. "You mock us," Zarnak said, pointing at the images. "This is how you respond to war. We didn't understand it was real at first. We haven't seen real war in 2,000 years. People thought it was entertainment." Zarnak slammed a fist on the table. "We are not entertainment." "I know," Jackson said. "That's why I'm here." He placed his memory tablet on the table and activated it. Holograms appeared, images from Earth's darkest days, the solar wars, the fall of nations, the great cleansing. Then slowly the images changed, to floating cities, to peaceful meetings with alien races, to families laughing without fear. "This is what we were," Jackson said. "This is what we became." Zarnak stared in silence. His eyes moved from one image to the next. His claws curled slightly. "You evolved," he muttered. "We did," Jackson replied. "And you can too. You don't have to prove your worth through destruction." The commander turned away, silent. Then he spoke, almost to himself. "No one has spoken to me like this in a long time." "That's because they fear you," Jackson said. "I don't. I respect your strength. But strength isn't only in weapons, it's in knowing when not to use them." Zarnak faced him again. "You are brave, human, or foolish. Sometimes it's the same thing," Jackson said with a small smile. Zarnak stared at him, then gave a slow nod. "Return to your world. I will consider your words. But this is not over." Jackson bowed slightly. "I didn't expect it to be." As he walked back to his ship, the Kraylan guards stepped aside. The silence in the hall felt different now. Not cold, not angry, just thoughtful. As his transport left the Ravager and moved back toward Earth, Jackson looked down at his planet, still glowing beneath the stars. He had planted something, a seed of doubt, or maybe of change. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing: the past mattered now. Jackson Morrow returned to Earth in silence. His ship glided down through the clouds, smooth and gentle like nothing had changed. But inside him everything had. He had looked into the eyes of a creature bred for war. He had spoken with a commander who saw peace as weakness. And somehow he had left alive. The floating city of Solara welcomed him with soft lights and quiet streets. People smiled, unaware of how close they were to danger. Some still made jokes about the Kraylan ships. Others thought it was all part of a slow, strange art piece. But the Peace Council knew better now. They had watched Jackson's meeting with Commander Zarnak through quiet surveillance systems, and they had seen something unexpected in Zarnak's expression: Hesitation. Inside the Grand Archive, Jackson sat alone reviewing footage of his conversation. He noted every word, every pause, every reaction. He knew Zarnak hadn't changed his mind yet, but he also knew one thing: Zarnak was listening. That afternoon, the Earth Defense AI sent Jackson a message. Unusual movement detected in Kraylan fleet. Patterns suggest preparation for strike. Estimated time, 24 hours. Jackson stared at the screen. It was happening. Despite their conversation, Zarnak was ready to test Earth's strength. He walked quickly to the Peace Council chamber. The round white room was tense. Holographic maps showed the alien ships shifting into attack positions. Earth's automated defenses were fully powered. No soldiers stood by, no generals issued commands. The AI would handle everything, unless Jackson could stop it. "We still have one chance," Jackson said. "Let me speak to him again." One counselor shook her head. "He made his choice. Now we make ours." Jackson raised his voice, firm but calm. "If we fight even to defend ourselves, he wins. He wants us to react like he would. We need to show him we're different." There was silence. Then agreement. A second message was sent. "Envoy Jackson Morrow requests one final meeting." The reply came quickly. "Accepted. Come alone. No delays." This time Jackson didn't bring a tablet or files. He brought only one thing: a small device built by Earth's top engineers in just a few hours. It didn't fire weapons. It didn't hack systems. It showed simulations. As he entered the Ravager again, the guards didn't glare. They simply stepped aside. Something had shifted. Zarnak stood waiting in the same hall as before. His armor gleamed under dim lights. But there was a small flicker of something new in his face. Curiosity. "You came back," Zarnak said. "I had to," Jackson replied. "You're about to attack us. I want to show you what happens if you do." Zarnak crossed his arms. "You threaten me." "I warn you," Jackson said, holding up the device. He tapped it. A large hologram filled the room. It showed a simulation, the Kraylan fleet opening fire on Earth's cities. The weapons were powerful, but Earth's defense AI was faster. Shields absorbed the blasts. Energy was redirected. Then, without harming a single life, Earth's satellites disabled the Kraylan fleet in less than 7 minutes. Engines froze. Systems crashed. Weapons melted. Zarnak's eyes narrowed. "This is your fantasy." "No," Jackson said. "It's science. It's truth. We've built a world where war is not just wrong, it's pointless. You can attack, but you will fail." Zarnak stepped closer, towering over him. "You show me this, instead of begging me not to fire." "I'm not begging," Jackson said calmly. "I'm inviting you to understand." Zarnak turned away, his claws tapping the floor. For a long time, he said nothing. The ship was silent. Then he spoke. "When we lost our last war, we lost our place. Our empire shattered, our people scattered. I was trained to believe war was the only path back. There's another path," Jackson said. "One we can walk together." Zarnak looked back. "You are a strange human, Jackson Morrow. You bring no weapon. You offer no fight. And still I feel challenged." Jackson smiled. "That's the idea." Suddenly alarms rang inside the Ravager. A Kraylan officer appeared. "Commander, Earth defenses are locking on. They await orders." Zarnak raised his clawed hand, and then lowered it slowly. "Stand down," he said. The officer froze. "Commander." "I said stand down," Zarnak repeated. The alarm stopped. Jackson let out a quiet breath. Zarnak turned to him. "Return to your people. Tell them the Kraylan Empire will not attack today. But this is not surrender. It is consideration." "That's enough," Jackson said. He turned and walked back to his ship. As the doors closed behind him, the ship lifted gently from the Ravager. In the sky above Earth, the Kraylan ships remained still. For now, and for the first time, they weren't preparing to destroy. They were beginning to think. The sun rose slowly over Earth's sky cities, painting the clouds in gold and blue. On the surface, everything seemed calm. People returned to their routines. Children played in the hover parks. Traders opened shops in the air markets. But high above, just beyond sight, the Kraylan fleet still hung in orbit, watching. News spread quickly after Jackson Morrow's second visit to the alien flagship. Some people believed the threat was over. Others remained nervous. The Global Peace Council remained silent, waiting to see what would happen next. Jackson didn't rest. Inside the Grand Archive, he studied every movement of the Kraylan ships. Though Zarnak had called off the attack, the alien fleet continued to shift positions, slow but deliberate. Energy levels in their weapons had dropped, but not gone cold. It was a pause, not a retreat. Earth's defense AI monitored every signal. It kept its systems ready, fully armed yet hidden, just as Jackson had shown Zarnak in the simulation. Peace had not made Earth weak. It had made Earth quiet, smart and prepared. By mid-afternoon, the sky darkened, not from weather, but from ships. One Kraylan destroyer broke away from the fleet. It moved toward Earth quickly, silently. No broadcast, no message. Earth satellites turned to track it. Within seconds, alerts rang through the council chamber. Unidentified Kraylan vessel descending. Energy charge detected. No communication from Commander Zarnak. Jackson stood at the center of the chamber, eyes fixed on the holographic map. "They're testing us," he said. A counselor leaned forward. "Should we let the AI defend?" Jackson shook his head. "Not yet. Let it track, but hold fire." Down in the atmosphere, the Kraylan ship lowered over the city of Luma Prime, the same city they had attacked days ago. The weapon systems glowed softly. People looked up. Some ran. Others froze. Then a bright beam shot down, not to destroy, but to mark a point in the city's sky. A red symbol glowed there, a challenge, a final show of power. "They're not attacking," Jackson said slowly. "They're daring us to react." But Earth did not react. The AI did not fire. Instead, the systems responded exactly as designed. The symbol was scanned, traced, and removed. Without damage, a silent message returned through the satellite network. Challenge received. No response necessary. The Kraylan ship paused mid-air. Its weapons flickered off. Then slowly it turned back toward orbit and returned to the fleet. In the Ravager, Commander Zarnak watched in silence. He had hoped, maybe even expected, that Earth would fire, that they would show teeth. Then he could call it a war. Then he could justify what he had come to do. But they didn't. They responded with control, with calm, and with clarity. And that hurt more than any weapon. He turned to his second officer. "What do you make of this?" The officer replied, confused. "They did nothing. They are cowards." Zarnak's voice dropped. "No, they are something else." He walked to the window and looked down at Earth. "They are beyond war." Hours later, Jackson stood before the Peace Council again. The chamber was quiet. Everyone waited for his report. "They wanted us to strike first," he said. "They needed proof that we still believed in violence, but we didn't give it," a counselor said. "No," Jackson replied. "We gave them something harder to understand. Silence, strength without fear." The council nodded, but one question remained. Will they come back? Jackson paused. "Maybe, but they won't come with fire next time. They'll come with questions." That evening, the Kraylan fleet broke formation. One by one, the warships turned and moved away from Earth. They did not say goodbye. They left in silence. The Ravager was the last to go. Inside, Zarnak sat alone in his command room. He held the Earth-made device Jackson had used to show the simulation. He replayed it again. No explosions, no death, just quiet defeat. And quiet victory. Zarnak whispered to himself, "Perhaps strength has changed." On Earth, people watched the sky. Some cried, some laughed, most simply stood in awe. Jackson returned to the archive that night. He stood by the wide glass wall looking out at the stars. A voice spoke from behind, a young student archivist. "Did we win?" Jackson smiled faintly. "We didn't fight. We didn't fight. We didn't need to." He looked up at the stars one last time. "We remembered who we are. That was enough." The Kraylan ships vanished into deep space, their engines glowing dim as they left Earth's orbit. One by one, their signals faded from Earth's tracking systems. The skies cleared, and with them, a sense of tension lifted from the air. It was over. No shots were fired, no lives were lost, no cities were destroyed. And yet, something had changed. In the days that followed, Earth was quieter than usual, not out of fear but reflection. People began to understand that the event wasn't just a false alarm, it was real. The threat was real. And the choice Earth had made to not fight, to not fear, was even more powerful than they realized. Jackson Morrow spent most of his time in the Grand Archive. He received messages from across the planet and from other Union worlds. Scholars, historians, and thinkers asked him to explain how Earth had done it, how a world with no army, no violence, and no anger had managed to face down a warrior fleet without a single act of war. His answer was always the same: we chose not to play their game. But not everyone was satisfied with that. Many wanted details. They wanted logic. They wanted proof. So Jackson wrote. He sat in the quiet of his study, surrounded by old books and glowing data panels. He poured his thoughts into the archive, not as a report but as a record of something rare, an event where peace had not only survived but won. He titled the entry, "The Day War Returned and Was Laughed Away." Meanwhile, a surprise message arrived at the Peace Council's central station. It came from the Kralin Empire. Zarnak himself had sent it. The message was simple: no threats, no challenges, just a question: may I visit? The council was unsure at first. Some thought it was a trap, others thought it was a joke. But Jackson knew better. He wants to understand, he said. Let him come. A ship arrived 2 days later. It wasn't a warship. It was small, quiet, and unarmed. Commander Zarnak stepped out wearing no armor, just simple robes from his home world. His eyes scanned the floating city of Solara. He looked smaller now, not in size but in presence. The fire in him had dimmed, not gone, but no longer burning wildly. Jackson met him at the platform. "You came," he said. "I did," Zarnak replied. "I have questions." "Good," Jackson said. "We have time." They walked through the archive together. Zarnak touched ancient books with rough claws. He read stories from Earth's violent past. Wars, revolutions, endings, and then stories of healing, progress, and peace. He read in silence. Jackson didn't lecture him. He didn't try to teach. He only guided. Over the next few weeks, Zarnak met with historians, philosophers, even children. He learned about the systems Earth had built, how conflict was resolved through communication, how energy was shared, how leaders were chosen not for power, but for wisdom. And slowly, Zarnak changed. He smiled once, a small, careful smile, when a child explained to him that peace wasn't boring, it was just quiet fun. One evening, Jackson and Zarnak stood together on a balcony, overlooking the city. Stars glittered above. The air was still. "You did something I thought impossible," Zarnak said. "So did you," Jackson replied. "You listened." Zarnak nodded. "I still don't understand it all, but I see that you are not weak." "No," Jackson said. "We're not." They stood in silence for a long moment. "What happens now?" Zarnak asked. "You go home," Jackson said. "And maybe you tell your people what you saw. Maybe they listen, maybe they don't, but a seed is planted." Zarnak looked up at the stars. "And if others come, others who don't listen?" Jackson smiled. "Then we'll show them the same thing we showed you. That peace is not surrender, it's evolution." A soft breeze moved through the sky garden below. Lights twinkled across the city. Somewhere, someone laughed. Zarnak turned to leave, then paused. "Thank you, Jackson Morrow." "Safe travels, Commander." The alien ship lifted into the sky. This time no weapons pointed down. Jackson returned to the archive and sat at his desk. He opened the final file, the last page of the record. With a steady hand, he wrote 4 simple words: